But the news was just announced that WNBA TV ratings are down more than 50% since Caitlin Clark's injury. And it was also reported that the Indiana Fever television viewership is also down.
The WNBA recently received a harsh reality check as Caitlin Clark recovers from her injury on the bench. The league's ratings have completely collapsed. We're talking about a catastrophic 55% decline in viewing the stats. Don't lie in their giving. A league of panic, the WNBA just got hit with a brutal wake-up call. With Caitlin Clark sidelined due to injury, the league's ratings have taken a nosedive, plummeting by a staggering 55%. The numbers speak for themselves, and the drop has the league in full-blown panic mode.
Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire...
This is the result of biting the hand that feeds you. Let's examine these startling figures. First, do you believe the WNBA is finally seeing how much they need Caitlin Clark? Or will they continue to act as like, this is all a coincidence, please? Share your opinions in the comments section below. This is what happens when you bite the hand that feeds you. Now let's break down these shocking numbers. Do you think the WNBA is finally realizing just how much they rely on Caitlin Clark? Or will they keep pretending this is all just a coincidence? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear what you think.
Caitlin Clark for the New York Liberty game. Stephanie White made made a statement on that today.
Well, who is suddenly worried about ratings? The WNBA, the same league that for the majority of the previous season either ignored or downplayed. Caitlin Clark's impact is now staring at some numbers that would make any executive wince. Let's talk about these ratings because holy cow, they're worse than anyone anticipated. We're looking at a 55% drop in viewership for nationally televised games. Without Clark, to put this into perspective, that's a straight-up nosedive. Games with Clark had an average of 8 million viewers. Without her, that number has dropped to 847,000. Hardly making up half of the viewership. I know some will respond, oh, it's just because she's a popular player.
Mishandled so many things with the WNBA last season, and specifically with Caitlin Clark and her fan base. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlin Clark and how they have treated her fans. Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever fans have been called...
How is it going for you now? Remember when the league and media figures were always telling Clark's fans that they should support other players and enjoy real basketball? Remember when they were calling these new fans fake and claiming that they were only watching because Clark was white and not because she was exceptionally talented? How's that working out now? Remember when the league and certain media voices kept telling Caitlin Clark's fans to support other players and appreciate real basketball? And let's not forget when they dismissed these new fans as fake, claiming they only tuned in because Clark is white, not because of her undeniable talent.
And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion, but not like this. A truly remarkable sports story continues. Now, we've gone over the Caitlin Clark effect, and I've also been one who has compared Caitlin to the likes of Tiger Woods just purely on her impact that she's had on the WNBA. But this news is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA. At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more.
I think the irony is delightful. Instead of embracing the millions of new fans she brought in, the WNBA alienated them and spent so much time trying to minimize Clark's impact by pretending that the league was fine without her. Instead of using her popularity to elevate other players, they created this strange adversarial relationship where supporting Clark somehow meant you were against everyone else now. Look where we are. Clark gets hurt, and the WNBA is suddenly realizing what happens when you don't properly nurture your fan base. These numbers aren't just embarrassing, they serve as a warning that the league may be too obstinate to take action. The irony here is almost poetic. Instead of welcoming the millions of new fans Caitlin Clark brought to the game, the WNBA chose to alienate them, spending more time downplaying her impact than capitalizing on it.
We've got a bigger sample size of the ratings without Caitlin Clark, and they're pretty bad. Well, I don't want to say the ratings are bad, but they're just down a lot, a whole lot. So we're going to look at that, and wow, I saw those numbers and was like, holy hell. Kathy Engelbert, WNBA commissioner, you got your ears on? I mean, what's the F around and find out? You're finding out. Rat cheer and ratting out.
Let's examine the true meaning of these ratings for the Indiana Fever. During her absence, Clark's team saw a 53% decline in viewership. But the worst part is that the league as a whole saw a 55% decline in nationally televised games. This indicates that Clark wasn't just boosting her team's popularity, rather she was elevating the league's profile. Consider that for a split second, one player's injury caused half of the WNBA's television audience to vanish. Has any athlete in any sport ever had that kind of impact? Christine Brennan offered an intriguing analogy between Tiger Woods and golf, but even Tiger's absence didn't result in such a sharp decline right away when you unknowingly put all of your eggs in one basket. This is what happens because they were too proud to acknowledge that perhaps this second-year player was bringing something special to the table that they should have been celebrating rather than downplaying.
Single name under the sun. They have been called out by players in the WNBA. The media has, you've seen it. We've talked about it here. You can't miss it on social media every single day. There is some media personality saying something bad about Caitlin Clark's fans, calling the fans names, saying that they are not there for basketball. They're just following Caitlin because she's white, or they're trying to push a certain agenda. Like, the narrative surrounding the biggest fan base to ever come to the WNBA have been actually insane. And then it goes as far as to the first game of the season, which was at Indiana against the Chicago Sky. Right after that game, they opened an investigation once again into the fans, where they found nothing, but the damage had already been done at that point. If some of these things happen just one time here and there, or there's one certain media personality who's just always saying these kind of things, then whatever. I feel like fans as a whole can be like, okay, whatever, this person is just a hater. But this is something that has happened over and over and over again. And over time, it starts chipping away at how much you're going to actually care and want to support an organization if they continue.
The games that have been played without Clark will be discussed. The Liberty versus Sky game with Angel Reed attracted about 600,000 viewers, which isn't bad by pre-Clark WNBA standards, but it's a big change from what we were seeing when Clark was healthy. The production values for the WNBA games on Amazon Prime and NBA TV are, to put it mildly, not great when Clark was playing, but fans were willing to put up with this because the basketball was worth it without her. Speaking of Angel Reed, let's address the obvious. The media spent a lot of effort to create a rivalry between Clark and Ray, promoting the idea that they were equals in terms of drawing power. The ratings don't lie. Ri is a talented player, but she's not moving the needle the way Clark does, and that's not a slight on Ray. It's just the truth. The WNBA's handling of Clark's injury has been interesting to watch. It's wise that coach Stephanie White is exercising the proper caution. The WNBA star power is clearly being prioritized over short-term gains by the team, as evidenced by the fact that Clark has been sidelined since May 24th due to a strained left quad, and prior to that, she was dealing with an ankle injury. However, you can bet that the league office is sweating every day that she is off the court. The league needs to take a close look at how they develop and market their other players, because they are currently learning a very costly lesson about putting all of their promotional eggs in one basket while simultaneously attempting to act as though that basket doesn't exist. The WNBA is entering CBA negotiations at the end of the season, and these numbers will significantly affect those talks, so the timing of this ratings collapse couldn't be worse. Player pay perks and working conditions are all dependent on league income. If one player is hurt, your revenue would drop by 55%, which will have an impact on everyone's bottom line.